Hello everyone, welcome to In2Sports. I am your host Evan, alongside Jake. Jake, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, Evan. How about yourself?
I am great. Very excited for this podcast we will be having for you guys today. And today we will actually be previewing the 2019-2018 NBA season by doing our full NBA power rankings. So we're going from last in the league, which is 30, to the number 1 spot. Whoa! Okay. I know everyone is really hyped for this show because this is a big one today, but we're just gonna wait till the end to do our applause, and let's get right into it. Starting at the number 30 spot, we have the Atlanta Hawks.
All right. The Atlanta Hawks starting lineup is at point guard Trae Young, shooting guard Ken Bazemore, small forward Taurean Prince, power forward John Collins, and center Dwayne Dedmon. So obviously their key pickup here is Trae Young, the rookie point guard. How do you think he's going to perform next season on the Hawks?
I think he's going to be taking a lot of shots. I think he could average close to 20 a game because of the lack of other options on the team.
I agree. I definitely agree. You also have Jeremy Lin coming off the bench for that team, which is a very good six-man. Jeremy Lin can be a good role player, but you don't know how he's going to come back from that injury.
Yeah, and I'm also focused on John Collins going into his second year. And I think that pick and roll of Trae Young and John Collins can be lethal.
Mm-hmm. I think John Collins is a big X factor for this team. This is going to be his year to really progress his game. Maybe not quite in the most improved player conversation, but somewhere around there.
And it is worth noting, Vegas only has them for 23.5 wins, which is lowest in the league.
I probably would have to say under 23.5. What about yourself?
That's tough because under, that'd be 23 and 49.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not winning many ball games. But I'm gonna take the over on this one.
I think I could see it going either way. You got Trae Young, John Collins. It really depends on how the young pieces perform.
Especially with them being in the East, the weaker conference.
Right. So moving down, the number 29 team, Evan.
We got the Sacramento Kings. Now this is another young team featuring De'Aaron Fox, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Justin Jackson, Marvin Bagley, who they took second in the draft, this last draft, and Willie Cauley-Stein.
I think this is a very good team. Marvin Bagley, really good key piece. I think that the Kings might have taken him too early in the draft. Don't really know about his shooting skill set or defensive skill set. But they also took Devontae Graham in the second round. And I think it's a well-rounded team. You got scoring, you got defense. I think everything's there.
And when you said they're a very good team, you're of course projecting them for the second least wins.
That's true. They're a good team as far as a building team. In a few years, 3-4 years, I can see them being top of the conference, depending on De'Aaron Fox, number 5 pick, Bogdan Bogdanovic, breakout player, and Marvin Bagley.
And a theme with these lower-ranked teams is that they all have a lot of young players, a lot of young pieces, and their future is more bright than the present.
That's correct. Now, moving down, number 28 team, we have the Magic. They have DJ Augustine, Evan Fournier, Jonathan Simmons, Aaron Gordon, and Mo Bamba. So, this team's a very interesting team. They have 3 bigs that are worthy of quality minutes. They have Aaron Gordon, who's projected to start. Mo Bamba, their rookie. They took number 7, was it, overall?
I think it was number 6.
Number 6 overall. And then they have Jonathan Isaac, who was their rookie last year, on the bench.
Yeah, I think this front court with Aaron Gordon and Mo Bamba, in a few years that can be top of the line. But I think it will take Bamba a few years to adjust to the NBA game, and I think he's more of a project.
Right. I see him as a Rudy Gobert type player. I don't know about his offensive game. We'll see if he can get that kind of moving. But I'm a little worried about the inside game because Aaron Gordon's not much of a shooter. Mo Bamba's going to be clogging the paint. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know if they'll play together too much actually this year. I don't think we'll see too many minutes with them on the court together, just because their styles they're alike, but they're also different. As Aaron Gordon is a much more athletic, and Mo Bamba's just a huge human being.
Right. And Vegas has them at 31.5 wins this season. I would say again I'd have to go under.
Yeah, I'm
on
taking
that.
under here too.
I don't think that they're gonna get that many. That's ranks them very fairly high among the bottom feeders in wins. So I don't think they're gonna get it. Now moving down, number 27.
We got the Charlotte Hornets. Their star is obviously Kemba Walker, alongside Nick Batum, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Marvin Williams, and Cody Zeller.
I just don't think the talent's there on the team. Yeah, obviously have Kemba, very good scorer, can do it all. He's not enough. You know, got the big contract with Nicholas Batum. He's not really doing much for the team. Just traded Dwight Howard away for pieces, almost nothing. I don't know about this team this season.
Yeah, there's really not enough talent to go around. It's just really Kemba. It's the Kemba show.
Mm-hmm. And as you see, the bottom 4 teams have all been in the East, and that trend.
Besides Kings.
Three of the 4 teams have been in the East, and that trend continues with our number 26 spot. We have the New York Knicks. Knicks are starting Frank Ntilikina, Tim Hardaway Jr., Kevin Knox, Kristaps Porzingis, and Enes Kanter. So, what do you think about this Knicks team this year?
I think Kristaps will miss about 60 games this year. He'll only play the back 20, and I think that's going to have a key impact on their record. They would be ranked higher if he was ready, but obviously the torn ACL last year was tragic.
Mm-hmm. Frank Ntilikina did not perform very well last year, but according to the Knicks training staff, he has grown over an inch in the offseason and gained a lot of weight and muscle. And Enes Kanter is a good scoring big. Doesn't play much defense, but what do you think about that?
I mean, this front court, just like the Kings, I wouldn't say it's young because Kanter is a bit of an older player, but certainly it's one of the better front courts in the East.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And then their small forward is, I think, their X factor. Their key addition is Kevin Knox. He played amazing during the summer league, but that's just summer league. How do you think he's going to perform during the NBA season?
Yeah, he shined bright like a star in that summer league, and I think that will really translate well to this year.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think he'll be a very good piece for the Knicks this season. So moving down to our number 25 spot, we have the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets have D'Angelo Russell, Alan Crabb, DeMar Carroll, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, and Jarrett Allen. What do you have to say about this team this year?
This is obviously a rebuilding Nets team, and it's pretty young. D'Angelo Russell, Jarrett Allen, the 2 guys that stick out to me. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, I mean, he's a solid piece for them, but I don't think this team... I'll take the under on 32.5 games.
I'm gonna say over on their 32.5 games. I think D'Angelo Russell is gonna have a very good season. It's obviously been hard for this Nets team to rebuild without their picks that they lost to the Celtics, but that's gonna change. They're getting their picks back this upcoming season, and we'll see. They could be trading for Jimmy Butler potentially, and I think that will definitely push their stock up coming into next season. So moving down to number 24, we have the Cavs. What's their lineup looking like?
So they took, with the 8th pick in the draft, they took Colin Sexton out of Alabama, alongside in the front, a backcourt, J.R. Smith, C.D. Osman, Kevin Love, and Tristan Thompson.
Mm-hmm. I think this team is very underrated. They obviously lost LeBron, which the best player in the league. You're going to struggle after you lose LeBron. But Colin Sexton, the young bull, I think he'll be a very good piece. And Kevin Love is still an all-star. I think he'll really get to show out now that LeBron's gone. What are your expectations for this team and Cedi Osman as he's a young player coming into this lineup?
I think Cedi Osman could be... I think he could be the best player on this team starting next year. I know that's kind of bold. Obviously, Kevin Love, Colin Sexton, high expectations for him, but Cedi Osman, he could be the LeBron of this team, filling in for him.
He didn't play many minutes last season, but obviously now that LeBron's gone, he's going to have a much, much higher workload. Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson is a decent front court. I think Tristan Thompson's definitely picking up the defense on that end. It's overall just not really there, not really a great team yet, and their win shares are predicted at 30.5. What do you say?
This is tough. I think I might have to take the over on this.
I think I'm going to take the over as well. And last year, they finished fourth in the Eastern Conference, but obviously losing LeBron, that's kind of a big deal. Loss. So I think they're, I don't know, 5 or 6 seeds out the playoffs.
Yeah, they do have two good floor spacers in J.R. Smith and Kevin Love, but Colin Sexton and Tristan Thompson really can't shoot the ball.
Mm-hmm. All right, so moving down, next, coming in at the number 23 spot, we have the Chicago Bulls. I kind of like this team this year. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll take the over on 27.5 wins. That seems very low to me.
Mm-hmm. I agree. What's their lineup looking like?
So, starting at the point, they have Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, Jabari Parker, Lauri Markkanen, and Wendell Carter Jr.
Mm-hmm. I think Wendell Carter Jr. was a great draft pick for them. Kind of a center to kind of, grab the inside, control the paint, a decent scorer inside, a very good defender. And you also have a rising star in Lauri Markkanen. Great shooter. What do you think about him and how he's going to play with Jabari?
I think they can complement each other well. Jabari, not really known as a spot-up shooter. Markkanen can certainly stretch the floor. And they did commit a lot of money to both Zach LaVine and Jabari Parker.
Mm-hmm. Jabari Parker, I don't know how he's going to perform at the 3 spot. As you said, not really known for his shooting. But I think since Lauri Markkanen's not going to be in the paint or he can really play along the arc, I think that'll really help his team, and I like them as an up-and-comer. But this particular season, I don't think they have it.
A few seasons down the line, I think they'll be fighting for home court advantage in the playoffs, actually.
Yeah, I agree. Now coming down to number 22, only our second Western Conference team. We have the Suns.
They picked number 1 in the draft last year, and they took DeAndre Ayton. And alongside him, they have Brandon Knight, Devin Booker, Josh Jackson, and Trevor Ariza.
Now, in a very loaded draft, what do you think about the selection of DeAndre Ayton?
I think it was the right decision. I think he was kind of the obvious number 1 pick to me.
Mm-hmm. There, you could have maybe gone with Luka, but you already have Devin Booker.
Yeah, I don't think those two would play well together.
I agree. Kind of both need the ball in their hands to operate. This team is good. They obviously have Devin Booker, scored 70 points in an NBA basketball game. I like the team coming in, but I just don't think they have it, especially giving Marquise Chris away to the Rockets. I don't really like that trade. What do you think about this team coming in?
I do like the signing of Ariza to get another floor spacer and to combine their youth to a veteran guy.
Yeah, they're placed at 28.5 wins next season. I'm going to have to take the over.
Me too. Even in the Western Conference.
I agree. I think Devin Booker is going to blossom into a star. I think he'll definitely be an all-star next season. And I think their X factor is Josh Jackson. Really all depends on how he could perform this season. He didn't put up great numbers last season, but coming into sophomore season, I expect a lot from him.
Yeah, really good young two-way player to look out for in the next coming years.
Definitely. All right, coming down to the number 21 spot, we do have the Memphis Grizzlies.
I think this could be a sneaky team. Vegas has them at 34.5 wins.
Mm-hmm. This was a hard selection to make because they obviously had injuries last year. Missed out on Mike Conley, who's their starting point guard, and they had a few injuries to Marc Gasol, their starting center. So, and their lineup is looking like Mark Conley, Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, JaMychal Green, and Marc Gasol.
Dylan Brooks really shined through the absence of Conley last year.
I agree. But do you think he can sustain that level of play when Conley comes back?
I think his points and his usage and minutes will go a little bit down, but I think he can be more efficient.
I definitely agree. With a player like Mike Conley coming back onto the floor, it's hard to become less efficient like that. But then now moving down to our number 20 selection, we have the Pistons. The Pistons were projected to have 37.5 wins as their Vegas over-under. I think I'm gonna take the over on that one, but
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna get it by much. Their lineup is
they got Reggie Jackson, Reggie Bullock, Stanley Johnson, and their stars Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond.
now that you got Blake Griffin who's kind of aging, and then you have a young piece in Andre Drummond. How do you think that's going to perform next season? Because that's obviously kind of what they're building around.
I think it's a good combo, but I don't think they necessarily gel really well together.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them not shooters.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Kind of clogs the middle. And then Stanley Johnson and Reggie Bullock, who they both had decent seasons. Reggie Bullock's definitely a little better than Stanley Johnson. How do you think they can kind of perform? Because their 3 point guard, shooting guard, small forward, kind of playing around the key wall. You got Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond in the paint.
Yeah, I think Bullock can stretch the floor pretty well, but I don't think Stanley Johnson can at all.
No, I really don't like Stanley Johnson. He hasn't impressed me very much, but hopefully he can perform better coming in.
I think they could run into some trouble having their 3, 4, and 5 not being shooters.
I agree. But then again, they do have Luke Kennard coming off the bench, who's not the best player ever, but he's definitely a decent shooter.
Another guy who can stretch the floor for them.
Yeah, definitely. I think he could be an important piece coming into the next season. And we have them ranked at 20 exactly.
Now coming in at 19, one spot ahead of the Pistons, we got the Los Angeles Clippers. They are rolling out Patrick Beverley, Avery Bradley, Danilo Gallinari, Tobias Harris, and they recently traded for Marcin Gortat.
Now, when I hear that lineup, I definitely think defense, especially with Patrick Beverley and Avery Bradley running the top, and they're coming in at the 19th spot. I think that's definitely very reasonable for them.
Yeah, like you said, a great defensive team on paper, but Gortat maybe not the low post defender that you're looking for, but Tobias Harris really stepped it up last year.
Yeah, I think the Clippers definitely got the best side of the trade with Blake Griffin. You have the 7'7" Boban coming off your bench. I don't.
He can make Anthony Davis look small.
He can. That's a difficult thing to do, but again, he's not necessarily the most coordinated person there is. But still, a very good defensive team. I think 19 is perfect for them. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs in a stacked Western Conference, but I do think they can get close. I think they can get the 10.
Yeah, I think they can
9 seed.
contend, but I still have them out of the dance.
Okay. And then moving down, 18, we have the Mavericks.
Another young team.
Yeah, this is a kind of a difficult choice, but they have Dennis Smith, Luka Doncic, Harrison Barnes, Dirk, and DeAndre Jordan. And why don't you talk about their offseason for us?
Well, what they did is they took Luka Doncic in the draft, and 2 years ago, they took Dennis Smith in the draft. That's an excellent backcourt. Looking forward to the future.
That's very explosive. Definitely get high scoring out of that. And in free agency, they signed center DeAndre Jordan. I think that's a perfect signing for them. I think he really fits their team because you got the big man Dirk, who 7-footer, who shoots, spreads the floor, and DeAndre just kind of controls the paint, a decent defender, can catch some lobs. I think that's perfect for them. What do you think?
Yeah, I think DeAndre Jordan could be a good piece for them in the future when Dirk leaves, but he was only on a 1-year deal, so you don't know if he'll be there in the future.
That's true. And then they were projected 34.5 wins.
Take that over.
I'd take over as well. They're projected one less than the Clippers, and we have them a spot ahead. And moving down, number 17, we got the Heat. What are they looking like?
Well, they got all-star from last year Goran Dragic, Dion Waiters, Josh Richardson, Kelly Olynyk, and Hassan Whiteside.
I think it's a decent team. They got a good coach in Eric Spoelstra. They obviously performed well last year. They were the 6th seed in the playoffs in the East, which has decent competition with the Bucks and the Wizards kind of around them. I think they're gonna step back into the playoffs. Again, another team that's in the trade talks for Jimmy Butler. I don't know though. What do you think?
I don't think they have enough pieces to get Jimmy Butler. Hassan Whiteside, to me, his trade value is not there.
Yeah, I agree. It just plummeted. They were projected 41.5 wins. I might have to take the under on that one.
Yeah, give me the under also. But Hassan Whiteside last year in the playoffs, he was a disappointment.
Very, very much so. And moving down, we have at the number 16 spot the Timberwolves. So this is where we kind of start getting into the the higher tier of teams.
Yeah, this was also probably the hardest team for us to rank
Definitely.
because of the Jimmy Butler situation going on right now.
You don't know what they're going to get for Jimmy Butler. They're probably obviously looking for point guard, shooting guard, or power forward. But it's really difficult because Jimmy Butler wants out now, and there's only so many teams looking to trade for him because of the re-signing issue.
Yeah, and what they get back in a potential Jimmy Butler trade will not help them win this year nearly as much as Jimmy Butler can.
That's right. They're not going to get a star just as good or even near Jimmy Butler's level.
That's why they're a little bit down the list for
Yeah,
us.
their wins were 44.5 projected. I think I'm going to take the under on that one because I think Jimmy Butler's going to be gone by the start of the season. And I don't see Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns getting the job done.
Yeah, last year they had 47 wins. But this one's tricky to me. I think I'll also take the under. Because I think Jimmy contributes about 5 to 6 win shares for them.
I agree. And then moving down to the number 15 spot, we have the Bucks. This is another weird team because the Bucks definitely have the talent to be even higher than this top 10 team, but their coaching isn't really there. They've underperformed the last few seasons. I don't know about them coming into this season.
Yeah, underperforming, especially in the playoffs. They were a big disappointment last year.
Really, I thought that the Celtics without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward would definitely go down to Giannis and Eric Bledsoe, but that did not happen. They are sporting Eric Bledsoe, Malcolm Brogdon, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and John Henson coming into next season. What do you think about their center situation? You got John Henson, you got Thon Maker.
I think Thon Maker will eventually take the center job from John Henson. But Giannis and Thon Maker, well, Thon Maker can kind of stretch the floor a little bit. John Henson, not really as much. So that's a little bit of concern. Once again, a front court that really can't shoot it.
And the backcourt of Eric Bledsoe and Malcolm Brogdon, a decent defensive backcourt, but a little undersized. Starting Malcolm Brogdon at the 2, but I still think they'll have a pretty decent season. I definitely think they'll be playoffs.
To me, the X factor is Chris Middleton.
I agree. He has been putting up 20 points.
Yeah, over 20 a game, and very efficient.
Very underrated player as well. Now moving down, who do we have next?
Back to the Bucks. They did get rid of Jabari Parker.
That's true. They did lose Jabari Parker in free agency. That's very tough for them, but he has been injured for them, so they're kind of used to playing without him. I don't think it'll be that much of a change for them.
Okay, moving on, we got the San Antonio Spurs. Their point guard is DeJounte Murray, and the shooting guard who they recently traded for, DeMar DeRozan, and alongside him they got Rudy Gay, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Pau Gasol.
I think that's a very good team. You have to realize the Spurs were playoff seeded last year without any star. So if you're adding DeMar DeRozan to that mix, I think it could be very, very good.
Yeah, to me, LaMarcus Aldridge is very underrated in today's game. He's a big that can stretch the floor, unlike these other guys we've been talking about.
Yeah, definitely. He's a very scary sight for other teams. He did make a selection on the All-Star team, Western All-Star team, I might add. That's very impressive. I think he had a great season, definitely deserved the All-Star. And adding DeMar DeRozan, I think that could be a very dangerous team.
Yeah, I'd agree. They did have to ship out Danny Green and, of course, Kawhi Leonard. Probably the weirdest laugh in all of basketball.
As far as the playoffs go, what do you expect from them?
I actually expect big things. I'm going to take the over on 43.5 wins.
I'll take the over on that as well. Last year, they did get 47 wins without a Kawhi Leonard or DeMar DeRozan. I think they're definitely going to top 43 this season.
Yeah, you can never count out a team coached by Greg Popovich.
And now, moving down, we have the Blazers. The Blazers are running a first-team, All-NBA first-team point guard, Damian Lillard, alongside up-and-coming, very good scoring shooting guard, CJ McCollum. And Yusuf Nurkic kind of anchoring the middle. Their forward spots are a little dicey, though, with Evan Turner and Al-Farouq Aminu. What do you think about that?
The backcourt is obviously what's keeping them in contention for playoffs. Last year they were the 3 seed, got swept by the Pelicans in the first round. That was a surprise to everyone. Yeah, that was disappointing. For the Blazers and Rip City,
I don't like the contract situation at all because Evan Turner has a big deal, not really putting up the numbers at all. You always got to give the money to Dame, CJ McCollum, and now Yusuf Nurkic got his deal. I think this team is going to be decent. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't see them getting past the first round.
yeah, the bench is also not really there for them.
I think they're deserving of the 13th spot, but no higher than that.
Another team where the guards, the backcourt, don't really have enough help around them to put them into serious contention.
Yeah. Speaking of that, we have the Wizards coming down at the number 12 spot, featuring all-star backcourt John Wall and Bradley Beal, and Dwight Howard in the middle, but Otto Porter and Markieff Morris are the forwards. What do you have to say about the Wizards?
Obviously, 2 summers ago they gave Otto Porter that max deal, and that kind of backfired for them in the playoffs. He did not perform, and he was a big disappointment in the playoffs. He's one of their X factors. I think Keith is the X factor of this team, and when he's putting up 20 a game, like you saw a few times in the playoffs, they're a really good team.
Mm-hmm. And their big offseason move obviously was trading for Dwight Howard. I think that was definitely a good move for them. Last year they finished what in the Eastern Conference?
They finished 8th with a record of 43-39, but 41 of those games, half the season, was without their star John Wall.
Yeah, I think that plays a big part. Their backup Thomas Satoransky was doing a very good job, but it's difficult to replace John Wall in offense.
For anyone that thinks that the Wizards were better without John Wall and with Satoransky, this is all I gotta say to you. That ain't true.
This is all I gotta say to you.
No.
All right, so moving down, we have the Pelicans at number 11. Their first 3, they got Elfrid Payton at the point guard, Drew Holiday at the shooting guard, Nikola Mirotic at the small forward. It's a decent, three spots. But then you got Julius Randle and Anthony Davis in the forward and center spot.
Yeah, they gave Randall that 2-year deal, and they shipped out DeMarcus Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Mixed reports, because some say that they were unwilling to pay DeMarcus Cousins that like $4 or $5 million he got from the Warriors, but that, I don't know, that seems weird to me.
There are also having reports that the Pelicans did offer DeMarcus Cousins $20 million deal, and he declined it and went to the Warriors. But it did work out for them. They did get Julius Randle out of that. I think that's a great signing. I think Anthony Davis and Julius Randle can be a very good front court, defensively and offensively.
Yeah, Anthony Davis really carried this team last year with the absence of Boogie Cousins.
And in the previous rankings, our previous podcast, we did have Anthony Davis as the number 3 player in the league. I think he definitely deserves that. Very dominant. And without a player like Julius Randle or DeMarcus Cousins, he was putting up crazy numbers, winning games, sweeping playoff series. I think adding Julius Randle, I think they could see themselves in another second round.
Yeah, Anthony Davis, 3rd in MVP voting last year. Julius Randle really had a good year last year. Kind of lost in all the Lakers talk. How well he played.
Mm-hmm. And now, moving down to our number 10 spot, we have a team that did not even make the playoffs last season. We do have the Nuggets.
Yeah, they got their hearts broken on the last game of the season where they lost to the Timberwolves to get to the playoffs. That was tough for them. I think they're going to regroup. I think they're going to bounce back.
I think they're really going to come back strong. They have a very good backcourt, Jamal Murray and Gary Harris. And their key pickup this offseason, Michael Porter Jr. Got him at the 14th pick in the draft. Absolute steal. Reports say he is going to play this season. I think that's great for them. And then they also have Paul Millsap and Nikola Jokic. What do you think about Michael Porter?
I would personally prefer if he did a redshirt season, kind of like Blake Griffin we saw from him a few years ago.
Ben Simmons.
Yeah, Ben Simmons, Embiid. Because if you look at the success of those guys, they were great.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see a reason to risk Michael Porter, such a great talent, when you already have great pieces around him.
Right. You look at Brandon Roy, you look at Derrick Rose, you don't want one of those situations to happen to Michael Porter. You don't want him to go out early with injuries. Don't think Michael Porter's going to push him over the edge into championship contention this season.
Yeah, definitely not.
I think you just got to sit him this season. You got star Nikola Jokic working the paint. You want to let Jamal Murray and Gary Harris develop a little more. I think that's perfect for them. Sit Michael Porter. I think they'll be a great team this year. I think they could be even better in the future.
Vegas has them at 47.5 wins.
I'm going to take the over on
Me too.
the 47.5.
Yeah, this backcourt is really young and really good.
Mm-hmm. Now, moving down, we do have, at number 9, the Jazz. The Jazz have a decent starting lineup with
Ricky Rubio, Donovan Mitchell entering his second year, Joe Ingles, Derek Favors, and Rudy Gobert.
I think we all know, really, the team kind of revolves around their sophomore, Donovan Mitchell. I think it really all depends on how he plays this season. He's their leader. What do you have to say about him?
I think he's great. I think he's one of the best players in the league already. But the key to this team, to me, is the coaching, and it's the defense. That's what stands out to me on paper.
Yeah, definitely. They have Rudy Gobert, I would say the best defender in the league. They have Ricky Rubio, pretty decent point guard defender. Donovan Mitchell, good defender. Joe Ingles and Derek Favors definitely can hold their own on the defensive end.
Yeah, they really played a lot better with Rubio last year in the playoffs. He's really the distributor. He's really I would say the heart and soul of the team. From a
vocal standpoint, definitely.
Yeah.
I think Donovan Mitchell leads him on the court, but Ricky Rubio kind of just gives him the energy. Their ball movement was top in the league last year. You see highlights of them getting wide open layups after 10 passes, 11 passes in a possession. It's very impressive to me. I think if they continue to play a team style of basketball, they will continue winning games.
Yeah, last year they did trade away Rodney Hood, and they got Jay Crowder.
I think that was very good. Again, as you mentioned, defense. Jay Crowder definitely presence on defense. Have a good bench. I think they're definitely deserving of the number 9 spot. And on their 48.5 projected Vegas wins,
that's pretty high. But
I think I'm going to take the over. I think they can get 49 or 50 wins.
I'm going to take the under. I do like this team, but almost 50 wins in the West. That's tough for me to predict.
I agree. All right, and moving down to our number 8 spot, we do have the Indiana Pacers. I think this is a good up-and-coming team. You got Darren Collison at the point guard, rising star Victor Oladipo at the shooting guard, Bojan Bogdanovic, Miles Turner, and Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah, this is a great young core.
Definitely. You see a switch up in the front court. You guys starting 2 7-footers, Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis. How do you think that's going to work?
I think it can work well because both of them are capable of, once again, stretching the floor. And I think that Oladipo-Sabonis for Paul George trade worked out really well in the end for Indiana.
Definitely. As far as defense goes for this team, I think it's top in the league. They got Victor Oladipo, the steals leader, who was first team all defense. You got Miles Turner, who was top 5 in the league in blocks per game. And then you got another strong 7-footer in the paint, Domantas Sabonis. And you saw this team took LeBron to Game 7, and they're just, maturing. I think they could be very, very good next season. I think they could be the 8th best team in the league.
Yeah, they play great as a unit together. And Vegas has them at 47.5 wins. Give me the over in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I would take the over on this team too. I think they're gonna get the top 4 seed in the East. And playing weaker competition, the kind of first 10 teams on this list are generally weak. Most of them in the East. I think the Pacers can definitely get 49 wins and maybe surpass that. Maybe it's like the 51, 52 range.
I think they're a top 4 seed in the East next year.
I agree. Moving down, number 7, we have
the Los Angeles Lakers. We all know what they did in the summer. They start Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, who was great in the summer league. I mean, he was And at the 3 position, do we even need to say his name? LeBron James, the king of Los Angeles, right now. Brandon Ingram at the 4, JaVale McGee at the 5. That's a little bit of a concern issue for me.
Yeah, you saw their free agency pickups. They have the meme team coming in. They got Lance, Michael Beasley, Rondo, and then JaVale. The center spot does concern me. I don't think they're competing for championship this year. But they do have an incredible bench. As I mentioned, you got Rondo coming off Lance. You have Kyle Kuzma backing up the forward position. You obviously got LeBron going to play a lot of minutes. I think this team could be a number 7 team in the league. Obviously, LeBron. What do you think?
To me, I'm looking at Rajon Rondo. Is he going to play like playoff Rondo? I know he doesn't like to be called that, but I'm going to call him that anyway. Is he going to be playoff Rondo, or is he going to be regular season Rondo? That's going to be the difference in this team's championship hopes for me.
Yeah, I think. What you mean to say is he going to be like playoff Rondo, or is he going to be like Kings Rondo? Because he really needs to keep his head. I think playing with LeBron will definitely help that. You saw him play with Anthony Davis, who was a top 5 player in the league. That definitely helped him. I think Rondo is a major key, and definitely their young pieces: Lonzo, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma. I do see this team being a top 7 though. You can't count any LeBron team out.
Yeah, and I think they'll be. I'll give them the 3rd seed in the Western Conference.
I can definitely see that. They are projected at 48.5 Vegas wins. I'm gonna go with the over on that one.
48.5. LeBron's teams in the regular season don't typically perform that well.
Yeah, they do tend to coast. But I think with the young pieces that they're really gonna be going for wins.
Yeah, give me the over also.
Yeah. And moving on to our number 6 spot, we have the Sixers. Sporting.
Markelle Fultz, J.J. Redick in the backcourt, Robert Covington, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid.
That's a very, very good team right there.
Yeah, obviously Simmons listed at the 4 in this depth chart, but really he's more of a 1 point guard or a 2.
He's a ball handling big.
Yeah, he's like LeBron. Wherever he's lined up on the depth chart, he's going to get the ball in his hands.
Yeah, the thing that concerns me about this team is Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons' jump shots. I know Markelle Fultz was working on his all summer, and the rest of the team is very good. You got a very good shooting team. Joel Embiid can definitely space the floor. Robert Covington, a good 3-and-D player. J.J. Redick, definitely a spot-up shooter. To me, I feel like teams are going to adjust to Ben Simmons. I think his shooting ability is going to really play against the team. But regardless, still a very, very good team.
Yeah, we saw the Celtics take advantage of Simmons' ability to shoot the basketball in the playoffs. But I think kind of what counteracts that a little bit is Joel Embiid's ability to space the floor as the 5, as a 7-footer.
I think Joel Embiid is definitely the best player on this team. I think he'll continue to hold that crown for a few seasons.
And I believe in Brett Brown as a coach. And Elton Brand, they recently hired him as the GM. That's kind of interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Very interesting. They didn't have much of an offseason. They did re-sign J.J. Redick. And they did trade, actually, Mikal Bridges from the draft. I think that was a bad move.
Yeah, that move really puzzled me. I was like, his mom works for the Sixers. He went to Villanova. And he's literally the perfect fit for this basketball team. A 3-and-D guy.
Mm-hmm. He is the most NBA-ready player in the draft. I don't see why they have any reason to trade him, as they are competing. I would say, kind of loose competitors, but I think they're definitely there. That move, really questionable move. But
they did get a 2022 Heat unprotected first-round pick, and the way I'm projecting the Heat, that could be valuable. But still giving up Mikal Bridges in a window of now? Like, this team can win now. They can also win in 5 years. But to me, the move doesn't really make that much sense.
I agree, and especially Michael Porter Jr. was even on the board during that selection. another great player. You can't go wrong with either of them. But I still think they'll be a very good team. Definitely playoffs. I see them getting a top 3 seed.
But moving in, actually, let's talk about their over-under, because it is very high. It is 54.5 games. I'll take the under on this one.
I am going to go with I'm going to go with the under as well.
Under?
I think they're going to be close to the wins, though. I think they'll have maybe 2 or 3 better, more wins than the Pacers. But I think they'll have also 2 or 3 less wins than the next Eastern Conference team.
Last year they had 52 wins, finished as the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, that is without Markelle Fultz and Joel Embiid for the back end of the season. I think that's very impressive. I definitely think they can get around that record again.
Moving in to the number 5 spot, we got our top 5, and we got the Oklahoma City Thunder.
This is a very, interesting team. We obviously have Russell Westbrook, amazing. Andre Roberson, great defender. Paul George does it all. Jeremy Grant and Steven Adams. What do you say about this team?
A lot of great defenders. I'm looking at Andre Robertson, even Westbrook. Like, we saw flashes of him being able to lock up Harden. You got Andre Robertson, Paul George, Jeremy Grant, and Steven Adams, all top-of-the-line defenders. And to me, a key thing that no one is talking about, Andre Robertson was out for the playoffs, and I think that really hurt them against the Jazz.
I agree, and they did move Carmelo Anthony and receive Dennis Schroeder to back up the guard position. I think that's a very good move. I think Carmelo Anthony was kind of taking too many shots for his worth. I don't think he's washed up quite yet. I just don't think he fit into this offensive system.
And it is worth noting, like you said, they get Dennis Schroeder back. That's really going to improve their bench, which was lacking. Last year, their 6th man, their best player coming off the bench, was Raymond Felton. Are you really going to win a championship? Heck, get out of the first round with Raymond Felton as your 6th man.
That's like you said, that's just blasphemy. And especially with Russell Westbrook, going from a player like Russell Westbrook down to a player like Raymond Felton, that's a very, very big talent drop-off. I think that hurt them, but Dennis Schroeder is going to help them a lot. Paul George, still very, very good player in his prime. I think this team definitely could be top 5 in the league.
50.5 game over-under. I'm going to take the over.
I'll definitely take the over on that one, even though they are in a tough Western Conference. I think they got players. Russ Westbrook got a lot of heart. I think they're going to be able to achieve the over on that one.
Last year against the Jazz, very disappointing in the first round.
Yeah, they definitely should have won that series. They definitely have more talent. They kind of just let it slip away from them until it got to such a deficit they couldn't really come back from it. I wasn't very impressed with their playoff performance, but I think they're kind of a new team coming back in to this season. I think they could definitely get the over of 50 games.
Last year, the experiment of putting Paul George, Russell Westbrook with Carmelo Anthony, it really failed. But I think this will be new chemistry, new life for Thunder.
Definitely. They their experiment last season got them 48 wins and the 4th seed in the West, but if they lost one more game, they would have been tied for the 7th seed. So
that shows you how competitive the Western Conference is.
Yeah, they really gotta kind of separate themselves from the pack this year. Kind of make sure they're in the top set of teams in the West.
But moving in to the number 4 spot, we got the Toronto Raptors. Traded for Kawhi Leonard in the offseason. They're going to put him alongside Kyle Lowry, Danny Green, OG Anunoby, Jonas Valanciunas. And once again, another good defensive team. I'm looking at Kawhi Leonard. I'm looking at OG Anunoby, who I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, OG Anunoby is definitely an up-and-coming player this league. I think he's a very good defender. Overall decent player. They do have Danny Green from the trade, starting at their shooting guard position. I think that was very, very good pickup for them. 3-and-D player, shoots, plays defense, does it all. Very good pickup for them. What do you think as far as their regular season, how you think they're going to perform this year?
I think that they're a top 2 team in the Eastern Conference for me. I think they'll be competing for this home court advantage throughout the Eastern Conference. This potentially one year rental of Kawhi Leonard. We'll see how it turns out for them. Whether that City of Toronto and the Raptors franchise can get him to stay, or if this trade will kind of backfire them and he will leave in the free agency.
Yeah, a very dangerous trading your franchise player who's happy where he is for another great player that's on an expiring deal. I think Kawhi is coming to Toronto though with an open mind. I think he doesn't really have a preference yet if he wants to stay or leave, but that's definitely dangerous. Definitely a dangerous move for them. And coming down at our number 3 spot, we have the Houston Rockets. Now, Houston obviously performed amazing last season. They got the 1 seed, the best record in the NBA, 65-17. I think they can put up a similar season. What do you think?
Their over-under is 54.5 games.
I'm definitely taking the over on that.
Yeah, I'll take the over also. I do think they had a bad off-season. Losing Ariza, losing Bahamamute, and it really in exchange getting Carmelo Anthony, who doesn't play that defense. Last year they thrived on 3-and-D basketball, similar to the 76ers, and they did it really well. But Melo, he doesn't fit that mold to me.
I agree. I think Melo's really got to stay focused, really has to lead and play defense this year. I think defense is definitely the key for Houston. They have it on offense. They have the shooting. They have the scoring. They got playmaking Chris Paul, ton of scoring in James Harden and Clint Capella and Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker. Very good shooting team. It really just comes down to defense for them.
Yeah, there can't be no talk of a bench role for Melo this year.
I really think that this team is definitely in contention. Obviously, there are teams that are very stacked in this league, but I think the Rockets are right there at the top.
The team that we have ahead of them is the Boston Celtics.
At our number 2 spot.
Number 2 spot, 57.5 game over-under. And that is tricky for me. Last year, they did have 55 wins. There was a lot of injuries. Gordon Hayward will be coming back this year. Kyrie Irving will be full health this year.
I think I'm going to take the under on that. And let me tell you why. Because of chemistry, you got Gordon Hayward coming back. That puts Aaron Baines to the bench. Aaron Baines is not the best player ever, but was a force on defense. You got a ton of scoring. Kyrie, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward. A ton of defense. Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and Jason Tatum. I think it has everything. I think it can compete for the finals.
Yeah, this team, I expect them to have home court advantage throughout the Eastern Conference playoffs. And the young stars shined in last year's playoffs with the absence of Gordon Hayward and the absence of Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, the Celtics rookie that they drafted, Robert Williams, I think they can mold him to become a very good defensive-minded center.
Yeah, he was a steal in the draft. He went 27th, and I expected him to go around 14.
As did I. I think that they're definitely... I think that they'll be around 55, 56 wins this season, and I think it's really depends on their health.
Yeah, I will also take the under on that. But before we jump into the number 1 spot, you guys probably know who it is right now. We want to answer some quick questions from the fans. So one of the questions is, what could cause Golden State to lose this year?
I think DeMarcus Cousins coming into this team, I think he caused a lot of locker room issues with Draymond and Kevin Durant. I think kind of separate the team. I think that could definitely cause a little bit of decline.
I think he could mess up the chemistry when he comes back. There's 5 All-Stars starting on this team. There's not enough basketball to go around for everyone to have their share that they want.
The Warriors really not a selfish team, but with, like you said, 5 All-Stars, not everyone's going to be happy with the shots they're getting.
I do think Steve Kerr will find a way to figure it out, though.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Any more questions?
We also have, who will be the best player out of this year's rookie class in 5 years?
In 5 years, for me, I think it could be Luka Doncic. I like Mo Bamba progressing. But I think I would go Luka Doncic. He's got a EuroLeague MVP. He knows he's gonna be. He's only 19. He's gonna be progressing a lot. He's already got the professional game, kind of in his arsenal. I think he'll be great in 5 years.
You're taking Doncic, so I'll take Mo Bamba of the Magic. Listen, he's only 18 or 19 years old, I believe, and he has a 7'11" wingspan. Just take a second and put that through your brain. 7'11" wingspan.
Yeah, that is crazy, and you have to realize that the Magic did develop centers like Shaq, Dwight Howard when he was very good. I think they can do that with Mo Bamba too. It's really toss-up. I think Luka and Mo Bamba could both be great players.
Now, I'm not expecting Mo Bamba to be a big contributor year one, but I think 5 years down the road, he can be just that.
And a dark horse for that question, Michael Porter Jr. Depending
Yeah.
on how his health is, he definitely has the pieces to become great in this league. Maybe Kevin Durant type player with his size and scoring abilities.
The key to me is if he can find a way to stay healthy. Obviously, some serious injuries to the back going on with him.
Yeah, definitely.
And one more question before we get to the number one spot. We have, when will the Lakers win a championship?
I definitely don't think they have pieces this year. I really think next season's free agency needs to be a big one for them. Talks them getting Kevin Durant, obviously Kawhi Leonard, Klay Thompson, maybe even acquiring Jimmy Butler. I think they do need to get one of those stars to become in contention.
Now, there's a lot of talk about, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, but I don't think any of those guys will go to Los Angeles.
You have to realize that the Warriors, like you said, 5 All-Stars. Kevin Durant, or probably it would be Klay Thompson's shots are going to go down a lot. He might not be happy there anymore. Warriors, Golden State might not be his place anymore. So he could be looking to leave in free agency, and I think the Lakers will have the perfect system for him.
I just don't think that he'll want to help LeBron, win a championship, because he's kind of competing against LeBron right now.
Right.
But back to the question, when will they win a championship? I'll give them 3 years to win a championship.
I was thinking 3 years as well. You got to give time for Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, Josh Hart to develop. I think they can develop into exceptional players. And LeBron, kind of an ageless player. I think he could still be in kind of his prime.
Yeah, LeBron, of course he ages like fine wine, but you got the young stars, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma. They don't age like that. They're going to need a few years to really be the potential, to live up to the potential that they have.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And now, moving into our number one spot, we do have the Golden State Warriors. Thank you.
Unfortunately, they are our number one spot today. You hate to see it, but you got to see it.
They got 5 All-Stars running Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and DeMarcus Boogie Cousins. It's a crazy team. What do you think?
I don't see a way they couldn't win the championship this year. Obviously, it's going to be disappointing to watch in the playoffs when they dominate, but it's the unfortunate reality of giving DeMarcus Cousins $5 million per year.
It is a 1-year deal. On the other hand, do you think he'll stay with the Warriors, or do you think he'll be gone after the season?
I think he'll be out.
Mm-hmm. And his ring, what do you think his ring will mean for his legacy? Because it's obviously almost a free ring joining a team with 4 other All-Stars.
I don't think it'll mean anything. If I look at his resume and I see a ring and I see the team that he played on, throw it out the window. I don't care.
Yeah, I really don't think it'll mean much at all. I think the move for his personal self, for himself, was decent because he gets time to kind of recover in a system that doesn't really need him to put up the big numbers right away.
They don't really need him at all, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
They did kind of struggle at center position last year. He is an obvious improvement there, but they're still going to win it regardless.
He is also coming back from an ACL tear, but I think even if he comes back, Achilles. But even if he comes back from 50% of his past self, that's still better than a JaVale McGee or a Zaza Pachulia.
I am worried about this injury long term though. Achilles injury, he's getting up there in the years.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit,
especially since he's a
for
big guy, 250 pounds.
Yeah.
6'11". I think the Warriors still have the championship in the bag, though. I definitely see them getting over their 62.5 win projection. and I see them adding another ring to their franchise.
So we just recapped our top 30 teams in the NBA. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you guys did enjoy, we'd invite you to tune into the show next time. Thank you, Jake, for joining us on the show today.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd like to see you later. Bye.